Canada has established a robust sanctions regime designed to respond effectively to international crises, uphold human rights, and maintain global peace and security. As a member of the international community, Canada leverages these sanctions as tools of foreign policy to influence non-compliant states, entities, and individuals to adhere to international laws and norms. This video explores Canada's sanctions regime, discussing its legal framework, implementation strategies, challenges faced, and the impact it aims to achieve on a global scale. Canada's sanctions regime is governed by a variety of legislative acts that allow the government to impose measures on foreign countries, individuals, and entities. These acts are primarily underpinned by the United Nations Act, UNA, and the Special Economic Measures Act, SEMA, among others, each tailored to address specific types of international relations and security issues. The UNA enables Canada to implement United Nations Security Council (UNSC) resolutions, which include sanctions that all UN member states are obligated to enforce. These sanctions are a key tool used by the international community to address threats to international peace and security, including terrorism and human rights abuses. The SEMA is utilized when the UNSC has not acted, but where Canada perceives a need to take action to respond to gross human rights violations or significant breaches of international peace and security. This act allows Canada to act in concert with other countries to apply pressure on offending states or groups. Additionally, the Justice for Victims of Corrupt Foreign Officials Act, also known as the Magnitsky Law, targets individuals who are directly responsible for or complicit in human rights violations or corruption. This law represents Canada's commitment to holding foreign officials accountable when their actions threaten the rule of law or result in significant injustices. The enforcement and implementation of sanctions in Canada involve multiple government bodies spearheaded by Global Affairs Canada, GAC. GAC collaborates closely with other agencies, including the Department of Finance and the Canada Border Services Agency, to ensure that sanctions are applied effectively and comprehensively across the nation. Effective implementation requires rigorous monitoring and enforcement mechanisms to ensure compliance across all sectors. This includes stringent checks at border entry points, financial oversight by Canadian banks and financial institutions, and regular audits of companies that might be engaged in international trade with sanctioned countries or parties. The process also involves significant legal and administrative resources to maintain updated lists of sanctioned individuals and entities, provide guidance to businesses and the public about their obligations under the sanctions, and prosecute violations of the sanctions. Enforcing sanctions presents several challenges, particularly in a globalized economy where financial and commercial networks are complex and interdependent. One major challenge is ensuring that sanctions do not inadvertently harm the ordinary citizens of a sanctioned country. Humanitarian considerations must be balanced against the objectives of the sanctions to avoid exacerbating humanitarian crises. Moreover, the digital transformation of global finance, including the rise of cryptocurrencies and other digital assets, poses new challenges for tracking and stopping the flow of funds related to sanctioned activities. These technologies can provide avenues for evasion, requiring continuous adaptation of enforcement strategies. Legal challenges are also significant, as those targeted by sanctions often contest their legality, both in Canadian courts and international forums. The Canadian government must ensure that sanctions withstand such challenges by adhering strictly to principles of international law and fairness. Canada's sanctions regime is designed not only to enforce international norms and peace, but also to reflect Canada's values on the world stage. By aligning its sanctions with those of allies and taking a stand on critical global issues, Canada reinforces its position as a strong, principled actor in international relations. The impact of these sanctions extends beyond the immediate legal and economic effects on their targets. They also send a powerful message about the international community's willingness to take collective action against countries and leaders who violate human rights or threaten peace. Canada's approach to sanctions is a critical aspect of its foreign policy, reflecting its commitment to global peace, security, and human rights. While the implementation of such sanctions faces numerous challenges, the regime's robust framework helps ensure that Canada remains a key player in international efforts to combat global threats. As international dynamics evolve, so too will the strategies underpinning Canada's sanctions regime, requiring ongoing adjustments to address new global challenges effectively.